Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker. This is Sporting Logically, and today I wanted to talk about one player on each Eastern Conference team remaining in the playoffs that could hold their team back from advancing. Each of these guys aren't considered stars, but do all play a significant role, and as a result, could have a big negative impact if they don't fill that role successfully. Obviously, each of these teams have already started their second round series. There's really no way to help that because of how the scheduling works. Just keep in mind that they're on this list based off their potential to hold their teams back from advancing, in my estimation, not necessarily based off their performances so far. Like I said, this is just for the East, and I'll be coming out with a list for the West on Friday. Let's get started. Starting off with the inspiration for this video in the first place, we have Robert Covington of the Philadelphia 76ers. After going undrafted out of Tennessee State in 2013, Covington had a brief stint with the Rockets and the formerly named D-League before signing with the Sixers in 2014, which, if you know your Sixers' recent history, means he has suffered a lot of losses over the past 4 seasons with the team. But through it all, he managed to develop into a pretty strong 3-and-D wing, and that perseverance resulted in him being rewarded with a very sizable contract this year. On the surface, this was a fairly smart move by the Sixers. Covington is exactly the kind of player you want on a team with 2 franchise superstars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, as he can guard the other team's best wing and spaces the floor as a reliable 3-point shooter. A role that he certainly bought into. Nearly a third of his shot attempts to this point in his career have been from behind the 3-point line. The problem for the Sixers is that Covington's shot has been a bit off in his first postseason as a pro, shooting below the league average from behind the arc on fewer attempts per game than he shot in the regular season. This has forced head coach Brett Brown to go with lineups featuring bench guard Marco Bellinelli along with JJ Redick on the floor at the same time to try and make up for some of that lost spacing. A duo that obviously provides great shooting, but as we saw the other night in Game 1 against the Celtics, can cause big defensive issues for Philly. This team will need Covington to find his touch from the outside before long, because they don't have a lot of other options to guard the skilled offensive wings they will face both in their current series as well as any future series they may find themselves in. Next up, we have my least favorite selection on the list, Marcus Morris of the Boston Celtics. I say least favorite because to say that one player could hold back this Celtics team makes it sound like they wouldn't have reached their potential as a team if they don't advance any further in the playoffs. This team is absolutely playing with house money right now, in my opinion, and any series victory from this point on would be an impressive accomplishment considering who they still have healthy on the roster. Having said that, I do think Marcus Morris has some holding the team back potential. Don't get me wrong, I think trading Avery Bradley for Morris last offseason has become one of the more underrated moves of the summer, and Morris has had good moments on both sides of the ball in the postseason so far. But the reason he makes this list is simply because he has a bit of a tendency to take questionable shots that could doom the Celtics in a crucial game. This roster has such little margin for error offensively as these playoffs continue, and the ball movement and motion-focused offensive system that Brad Stevens has installed is one of the engines that allows the team to still remain competitive without as much individual offensive skill as many of the other teams remaining. If Morris comes off the bench one game guns blazing and breaks the Celtics' rhythm offensively, it could spell disaster. I will admit that I'm reaching a bit here for a member of the Celtics that could hold back such a beat-up roster, but this is a thought I've had a number of times when watching them play in the postseason so far. Having said that, if Morris can rein it in and play within the offense, he should be fine. Moving along, we have J.R. Smith of the Cleveland Cavaliers. It speaks volumes about how far the roster has fallen in the past 12 months that the team is relying as heavily on J.R. Smith as they are at the moment. To be fair, he's always been a contributor since his arrival in Cleveland, both as a shot maker and as a sneaky good defender when engaged. But counting on him to essentially be the 3rd or 4th best player on your team, considering the rosters of the other teams remaining in the postseason, is an extremely frightening thought for any Cavs fan. Here's the thing about JR. One night he could look like Klay Thompson's twin, cashing out from behind the 3-point line and chasing shooters coming off screens defensively. And the next night he could look like he doesn't belong in the NBA anymore. For most of the season, he's resembled the non-NBA player side of that equation. And though he has shown some flashes on both sides of the ball so far in the playoffs, I'm still hesitant to trust him as a consistent performer moving forward. If the Cavs want to continue to advance, they'll need everything Smith can give them offensively and defensively. Consistent shot making has been a continued issue for this team seemingly all season long, and they don't have a lot of other options to try and guard the best offensive players on the other team outside of asking LeBron James to add to his already historic workload. But on the other hand, if Smith can find his range and bring energy defensively, it could be the key to keeping the Cavs' playoff hopes alive. Last up, we have Canada's favorite basketball son, OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors. Raptors fans love to be in the comment section telling me how great OG has been for the team this season. Anytime I make a list remotely mentioning rookies that had great seasons and I don't include him, the Raptors fan mob comes after me with the quickness. But trust me guys, I know just how good he's been for Toronto this season, and that's a big reason why he makes this list. As much talk as there has been about how improved the Raptors' depth is, which is true, there's an alarming lack of athletic wing defenders for the likes of LeBron James, Ben Simmons, and the talented Celtics wings that are still standing in their way. They have guys that are serviceable, sure, like Miles and Siakam, but Anunoby is really the only guy that I see with the ability to consistently check any of the players that I just mentioned. And so far this season, he's done a great job of filling that role while also providing better than expected three-point shooting. The problem obviously comes in when those shots stop falling. The whole point of 3-and-D wings like Covington and Anunoby is the versatility that they provide, the ability to defend as well as shoot. OG's regular season three-point shooting numbers are promising, sure, but they came on a relatively low number of attempts per game. And though he's been very good from three-point range in the playoffs so far, that comes in a very small sample size against a poor defensive team in Washington. To his credit, he still finds a way to be effective offensively at times as a cutter and in transition when his shots aren't falling. But in my opinion, the Raptors are going to need to be firing on all cylinders to dethrone LeBron and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. If everything goes right and their only real 3-and-D wing in Anunoby has a great series, then they could do just that. And that is the end of the list. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like rating is a great way to let me know. And if you'd like to see more videos just like this, then be sure to subscribe to Sporting Logically for more content every single week. Thanks again, and I will see you all next time.